Yo, what's going on, guys? It's your boy. Welcome back to another video. So, with the release of Ridley Scott's Napoleon movie, I believe every single big biopic that's coming out this year is officially out. So, with that being said, there's about 8 or so biopics that came out this year. There's even a couple that I haven't had the chance to see, and I wanted to go through and kind of rank every single one of them. And I will say, originally I was like, man, this list is going to be pretty bad because some of them are pretty bad. But then I realized some of them, like the top 3 or so, are movies that I would consider to be like some of the best movies that came out this entire year. So, with all that being said, let's go ahead and dive right into this ranking. So, as with all of my rankings, I'm going to go ahead and give off a list of some of the big notable movies that I believe would be considered in this category that I haven't seen yet. So, for one, I believe the movie Killers of the Flower Moon is technically a biopic. I could be completely wrong about that either way. I have not seen it, so it will not be on this list. Another big notable one, the movie Cocaine Bear is loosely based on a real story, so some people would consider that a biopic. I wouldn't, because of how derivative it is of the original story. I feel like it doesn't really follow the story at all. It's more of a what-if scenario, and because of that, I'm not including it on this list. And then the last one, this one is a very unknown one, so I don't think people are going to be missing it much, but there was a Build-A-Bear biopic that came out this year called Unstuffed, and it was kind of more of a documentary style of how Build-A-Bear came to be. But that being said, those are not going to be on this list. Don't expect those to be on this list. And with that being said, let's dive right into it. Coming in at number 8, and in my opinion, the biggest disappointment of the fall season, Napoleon, Ridley Scott's movie that came out just very recently. I think that this movie fails on the level of it could not pick a lane. I think that this movie had a lot of ambitious decisions, and they decided to do a lot of things here that should have worked theoretically, but the problem is they had way too much going on in this film. This movie is about 2.5 hours long, and it felt like about 6 hours. They tried to share every single little piece of Napoleon history that happened since the moment Marie Antoinette died, and despite there being a lot of really great scenes in this movie, the movie as a whole kind of fails because it all feels like it's very loosely connected. They try to make the whole Drew story kind of connect with his love story, which in real life didn't actually impact that much of his war stuff that was going on. So while we're seeing this love story that's kind of beautiful and very interesting, it just kind of overshadows all of the epic general stuff that he did. And this movie, in my opinion, was advertised terribly because it's advertised as a war movie. It's advertised as, here's Napoleon, the great general, here's what he did as a war hero. And, in history, he is one of the best strategic people literally ever. So the fact that they kind of decided to focus more on his romance was very disappointing. And like I said, this movie couldn't pick a lane. Every time we had great, beautiful war scenes, it was nice. It was really cool. It was very glorious. There was a lot of really good cinematography. There was a lot of really good action sequences, some great shots. But then it would immediately cut from that, which was great and probably the best parts of the movie, to, okay, here's this random thing that's happening with his wife, who was played by a really good actress, and there was definitely some story to tell there, but it just felt very out of place in this movie. And it was very obvious that Ridley Scott had too much to say about Napoleon, and instead of picking maybe 3 or 4 big moments in his history, they decided to tell his entire history, and it just felt like a giant congealed mess. And some of the biggest things in Napoleon's history were 2-minute segments in the movie. That was very disappointing and very lackluster. Coming in at number 7, this is the first movie that I would say is a very watchable movie, and I definitely could see myself watching this again. It's the movie The Beanie Bubble. Personally, I don't think this movie is incredible. It's not going to absolutely change your worldview. It's not going to be something that you're like, oh my god, let's watch this all the time. But me personally, I could see myself throwing this on a couple more times. I feel like this movie is very interesting. It tells you the story of how TY, the little toy company, became such a popular brand, and how it became such a almost stock market level thing where, people would buy specific toys, like the little Beanie Babies, and try selling them and making a shit ton of money off of it. And it was a very interesting movie. I think that the 3 female leads are all really good in their own respective parts. Personally, I'm a huge fan of Elizabeth Banks. If you put her in any movie, I will watch it and I will absolutely love it. And I feel like Zach Galifianakis does a good job being a giant man-child in this movie. And it's a lot of fun watching them kind of discover here's something we could do to make a lot of money, and then here's something we could do to make a lot of money, and then there's a love story in here, and I think that it balances the 3 different stories that are going on at the same time very interestingly and very well. My main problem with this movie is once the 3 main stories that we've been following the entire time comes together, that's it. That's the movie, and it's over. And it kind of feels a little bit anticlimactic. I wish we got a little bit further down the line, but that being said, I still think that this is a very fun movie, and if you are looking for a movie to just throw on and watch potentially with, a group of people, it works. It's pretty fun. There's a lot of funny moments. You'll definitely get a kick out of it. It's just not anything revolutionary. Now, coming in at number 6, we have the movie Flaming Hot. This was a Disney Plus original. Very good movie. I really love the style of this movie. I think that it's a very interesting story of how Flaming Hot Cheetos came to be. There was just a little janitor who was like, you know what? I have this idea. And he did a bunch of kind of illegal things and very daring things to try to make something that he thought would really represent his community better. And he really just wanted to make a new flavor of these Cheetos because he personally was never really a fan of Cheetos. He was just kind of a janitor, but he had wide eyes and curiosity, and he's always been like, what's something I can do to make this company a little bit better? And I think that it's really interesting because it shows the story of how somebody who's very low level at this company was able to make such a massive impact. And like I said, this being a biopic, it's based off of a real story. It was a very interesting story. And I like the way that they did some of the shots, like when they are going through the years or whatever of the Reagan presidency or whatever, and a lot of people are losing their jobs. The way that they show like the 8 years passing is he's sweeping up around the area or whatever, and then like somebody will walk by with like a dolly full of stuff and it'll say the next year, and then something will go across a conveyor belt and it'll say the next year, and then like that style was beautiful. And I like this movie because it had a lot of moments where the guy who was narrating it would be like, yeah, then I budged in there and I said that I'm the total boss, and he would just kind of go on a long tangent talking about how he's epic, and then he'd be like, no, I'm not serious, this is what actually happened. And I thought that it was fun. I thought that overall this movie was funny, it was entertaining, and it had a lot to enjoy. Once again, this is a good one you could throw on with a group of people. Like if you have a family or whatever and you want to throw this on for a movie night, it's fun. It's a blast. Coming in at number 5, this one is very hard for me to not put it in the top 3 because I absolutely love it and adore it. But the movie Tetris, personally, I think I said this about the last one, but it is stylistically beautiful. There are a lot of sequences in this movie that are just so beautiful and like fits the theme of the movie incredibly well, and like it really feels like Nintendo made a movie, which I think is incredible because in a year that the Super Mario movie came out, this movie also came out, and it like symbolizes so much Nintendo things in it as well. I love Taron Egerton in this. Once again, he's one of those actors where it's like you put him in pretty much any role, I'll love it. And he does so much daring things. He goes to Russia during like the worst time to possibly ever be in Russia, and it's super scary. And I will say, of all of these biopics, I feel like this one is the most tense. There are a lot of scenes where it kind of feels like he's going to die, and it kind of feels like he's in a lot of danger. And like a lot of these movies, there's a lot of like financial risk. This is the first one where it feels like he actually could die. Like it's terrifying. And I really like it because there's a chase scene towards the end where they kind of like have it start off as like a regular chase scene, and there's like cars or whatever driving on a regular street, and then it'll zoom out and it'll show it as like 8-bit graphics, and it's so fun. And they have like the Tetris theme in it a couple of times, and there's a lot of really good use of diegetic music, like when the guy who created Tetris and what's it called, Taron Egerton's character went out to like a little nightclub to have fun in Russia. They're listening to the final countdown and they're all jamming out and they're so happy because they're working on their revolution. It just feels like such a great movie and such a good period piece, and it genuinely feels like one of the most like triumphant movies that I've seen this entire year. And like I said, it hurts me to put this at number 5 because I love it so much, but there are just so many good biopics this year. Coming in at number 4, I actually just watched this so I can make this ranking video. The Blackberry movie. Wow, this is good. The actor from Always Sunny in Philadelphia, Glenn Howerton, absolutely kills this role. He's such a like madman, and he goes around and he's tired of all these little man children who are like they're great engineers, but like they don't know how to take jobs seriously. And I like it because it has so many different shots that are like shaky cams, and you can tell it's like very like they use hand cameras to like follow around the scenes and to go around, and you could feel when he's angry, you could see like the cameras are starting to shake around a little bit more, and there's a lot of tension in this movie. And I feel like this movie does such a good job of showing all the internet nerds who are kind of like, they know what they're doing, they're very smart people, but like also they're nerds and they get to nerd out, they get to geek out, they have a bunch of fun movie references in it, there's a lot of cool quotes, and I love the music in this movie as well. I like the fact that every time we see our like 2 main nerds who are kind of like the creators of the original Blackberry or whatever, they're listening to some like rock and roll type music that's just absolutely jamming out, and then we listen to the other guy, the person who bought out the company, and he's always just listening to hockey games, and he's very sports, and he doesn't understand the tech side of things. And I love that kind of like balance that they don't really fully understand each other and see eye to eye, but they work relatively well as business partners, and I think it's a very, very good movie. Coming in at number 3, I will say this, some people are going to be like confused that this isn't one of the top 2, but the movie Air directed by Ben Affleck and starring Ben Affleck and Matt Damon. This movie is a whole lot of fun. It's about the story of Air Jordan's shoes, and it's the story of Nike back when they were the underdogs, which I absolutely love. And something that I like about this movie is it's a story that a lot of people don't really care about, but they do such a good job of tying it in with Michael Jordan's success story, and they do such a good job of tying it in with Nike as a whole. You don't see Nike as like an underdog now because they're such a big top tier company, and we know that this movie's going to end with Nike being on top and them signing Michael Jordan. But this entire movie, they kind of feel like they don't really stand a chance. They feel like a kind of a David versus Goliath battle versus them versus Adidas. And I love the way that they're able to give this movie so much humor. And it's great because it's a very adult movie, but not like oh my god there's sex or oh my god there's gore, but it really has a lot of humor in it that it just trusts the audience to get. It's not like they're like delivering every single joke on like a shiny platter and it's something that's super obvious. There's a lot of little nods here and there that are jokes that you're not fully gonna get immediately, and I like the fact that it trusts its audience very well. This is a low budget movie and it feels like something that you would have seen in the early 2000s, late 90s, and I love it. And like I said, I like the fact that they tied it in with Michael Jordan's career as a whole, and Matt Damon's monologue about how all the people who work at Nike, they're kind of nobodies, but Michael Jordan's somebody who's going to have a legacy that's going to outlive all of them. And he's like, it would mean so much to this entire company if we could just get one person like Michael Jordan to be sponsoring our brand. And it's great. I love it. I think that this movie is very triumphant. I think it's a whole lot of fun. And I like the fact that it really kind of feels like a 90s sports movie. It feels like an older sports movie that's like so nostalgic, and it has a whole lot of fun, and it has that final sequence of like, this person went on to do this thingy, and this person went on to do that thingy, and it's great. It's a very good feel-good movie, and I 10 out of 10 would recommend it if you haven't seen it. Coming in at number 2, this is a controversial pick, but I think Gran Turismo is the second best biopic that has came out this year. Gran Turismo, in my opinion, is one of the best movies that has came out this entire year. I will die on this hill. I think this movie was beautiful. I think that the cinematic shots were great. I think that all of the racing sequences were fantastic. I think the fact that this is a video game movie that is trying to do so much things at once, but it really pulls off every single detail of it. There is drama in it. There is comedy in it. There is a lot of emotional sequences in it. There's so much to love about this movie. I think that overall it's one of the best well-rounded movies that has came out this entire year. I know it's not going to happen, but I think David Harbour deserves a supporting actor Oscar nomination for this. It is an incredible role that he does. He's somebody who's retired race car driver. He's always had passion for the sport. He's somebody who really cares about these people, but he has to kind of be more of a dark and brooding person to kind of be like, hey, you don't want to do this. Don't chase after your dreams, because it's not always going to be all like sunshine and rainbows. And I like the fact that he has this dark exterior to him, and he's kind of like trying to push these people away, but you realize in the end that it's because he's been in their shoes and he's gone through some terrifying events as a racer, and he doesn't want these people who've just been playing video games their entire lives to have to go through the trauma and the experiences that he's gone through. And that character is just incredible in this movie. I absolutely love it. I think that there is just a whole lot of fun to be had with this movie as a whole. And I think that the main actor does absolutely insane in this role. I think that he has so much tense emotions and stuff that you can feel every single like part of him like breaking down in the scenes where he's breaking down. There's a great story between a father and a son who never really had this full connect, and now the son is proud of the father and the father is proud of the son, and it's a good full circle story. And as somebody who grew up watching racing with my dad, this movie just kind of has a special place in my heart. It will probably be one of my favorite movies of all time, and I really, really loved it. Hey, future editing Blake here. I forgot that the movie Dumb Money came out this year. That was a really fun movie that came out a couple of months ago. That is technically a biopic, and I had completely forgotten about it. It was something that took place about 2020, 2021, somewhere in that range, maybe 2019. And it was just a story of the GameStop thing that happened with the stock market. Great movie starring Seth Rogen, Paul Dano, a couple of other actors and actresses. And that movie was a whole lot of fun, and I really enjoyed it. And I just wanted to give it a quick honorable mention. I forgot that it existed, so it's not on my ranking, but I would probably put it in between Tetris and Flamin' Hot. Like I said, pretty good movie, very fun. It really did a good job of feeling super nostalgic, even though, like I said, it was something that happened just like 3 years ago. But yeah, I wanted to give that a quick mention because some of you guys might have been thinking about that movie, and it's like, please tell me that's not his number one. It's not. I forgot that it existed. But now, coming in at number 1, we have Christopher Nolan's Oppenheimer. This is just a beautiful film. It is an incredible movie. It is 3 hours long, but every single scene serves a purpose. Every single part of it feels like it needs to be there. It's a very important story, and it's a very crucial story towards American history. I think that it does a really good job of kind of balancing the trial that we're seeing in the past, and here's this event that's happening now. And I like the way that it's two different timelines going on at the same time, and it builds this slow mystery of like what's going on in these trials. Like, why is Robert Oppenheimer kind of being treated like crap right now? He's somebody who's technically should be considered an American war hero, and then we have Robert Downey Jr.'s character, who's kind of somebody who doesn't understand the science side of things and always kind of takes things personally and has a big ego. And I loved this movie a lot. I think that this movie did such a good job of symbolism. I think that Cillian Murphy is probably going to win an Oscar for this movie. I think that his acting performance as Oppenheimer is insanely good. And I like the fact that there is kind of a really rough story of like, they were just trying to do a scientific breakthrough. They didn't know that they were going to set the world on fire here. And I like the fact that there's just so many scientists in a room, and it doesn't necessarily feel like, oh my God, here's this big name actor, because there's a lot of big name actors in here. But every single character feels like their character. Every single actor has incredible stuff to do. I think that Florence Pugh is great in this, and I think that Emily Blunt does a really good job in this. So overall, I think it's a great movie. I think that if you haven't seen it, you should definitely check it out. But yeah, that being said, that was it for this video, guys. Thank you guys so much for coming by and checking it out. I love and appreciate you guys so much for watching. You guys are amazing. You guys are the reason I do this. And if you liked it, feel free to like and subscribe. And I will hopefully see you guys in the next one. Peace out. Bow, bow, bow.
He wanted me to drop a verse, I did this. We planned a day and then we did this. Wanna be in love with the girls with the kisses. Don't give a damn, I'll rid this. I like this when I run the distance. I run a 5K, you go ballistics. I wanna live within the business. Buy more than what's on the clearances. You're getting bent because I know you're a physicist. I wanna deny this shit, I'm unlimited.